you guys? It's your girl KiannaJay here, and I am back with another YouTube video.
And you begging to seduce, but beggars cannot be choosy. Been a queen for 8 summers, just tell them to call me Susie. This that Nikki, this that Oopsie, this Hennessy got me.
It's been quite some time since I haven't posted. Like, I haven't been posting in a while. That's because your girl been going through some stuff. And to be honest, I really haven't been that motivated to post. But I'm going to start posting more. My apologies for that. I'm going to start posting more, you guys, of me, just myself with the gang, squad, whatever. I'm gonna be back, okay? I have a little bit of a story time for you guys. I noticed that I don't do a lot of story times and my life is freaking crazy. So I need to start doing more story times. You can tell by the title, today I'm gonna be telling you guys about my stalker that I had a few months ago, like months ago. I'm gonna say like around September maybe. I just had this crazy stalker, like crazy. So I'm gonna start from the tippy beginning. It all started on Twitter. This one guy DM'd me on Twitter and was like, hey, you know, well actually he followed me first and then I followed him back. And you know, I was looking at his pictures like, hey, this dude is cute, like, you know, he's cute, whatever. But I didn't push up. I don't be doing that. Like, I'd be scared I'm gonna get rejected. I don't be pushing up on dudes. Like, I don't DM them first. I DM me first. Duh. So he ended up DMing me. It was like, hey, beautiful. And I'm like, you talking to me? You think I'm cute? You think I'm cute? Okay, okay. So he thought I was cute. So I'm like, hi. Okay, you know, what's up and shit? Like, what's up with you? You know, how old you is? You know, where you from? All that stuff. So, you know, we're talking, we're DMing and stuff. And then he was like, he told me he was in the, what is it? The Marines, or not the Marines. He told me he was in something, the Air Force. He told me he was in the Air Force. And I'm like, oh, that's dope. You know, like, I know people that's in the Air Force, they travel a lot and all that stuff. So I could tell this dude was really interested in me, like really, really interested in me. And then he was like, I want to fly you out to where I'm gonna be at next so we could like link up and meet. And I'm like, oh, whoa there. I'm trying to, whoa. All right, but like, whoa there. So I'm like, that's too fast. Like, you know, I feel like we should FaceTime, you know, text, like get to know each other more before you just fly me out somewhere. He's probably watching this video as we talk. Yeah, he's probably watching this video. So that was that. So I'm like, you know, we need to text before you just fly me out. Snap. He's like, okay, cool. Like, here's my number. Gave him my number. But then he was like, this should have been a red flag. But then he was like, hey, can I text you when I land? I land on Saturday. Mind you, this was a Wednesday. He was like, I land on Saturday. You know, I'm on a jet right now, all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay. So we're texting or whatever. He's like, yeah, I really want to fly you out. I'm not gonna DM it. He's like, yeah, I really want to fly you out. Like, forget all that, blah, blah. And I'm just like, dude, like, I don't trust that. Like, you could be like somebody you're not, like, I don't know, you're just moving too fast for me. So he was like, well, I'm on a jet right now. You know, I'm gonna hit you later or whatever. So he ends up sending me a video. And he was like, in the video, it's his face, you guys. The guy in the pictures, it was his face. He sent me a video, it was like, I'm on a jet right now. I don't have a fork or a spoon, but I'm real. You know what I'm saying? Recording himself like this. Like, you could see he's on a jet, you could hear it. He's like, hey, I'm on a jet right now. I don't have a fork or a spoon, but I'm real. So I'm like, oh, this guy is for real. Like, he was just telling me he's on a jet. He just sent me a video saying he's on a jet. So this guy's for real. So the reason why he say he doesn't have a fork or a spoon, if you guys don't know, like, if you're being catfished or you feel like you're being catfished, just tell that person to take a picture with a spoon on their nose or a fork, holding a fork or something. That just shows that they're real. So he was like, you know, hey, I don't have a fork or a spoon right now. You know, I'm on a jet, but I'm a real person. Hello. So I'm like, oh, this guy is for real. Like, oh, bullshit. That was that. So eventually he ended up texting me, but when he texted me, it was from an Android. Like, ain't nothing wrong with that, but it's like, if you're in the Air Force, aren't you supposed to have like an iPhone? And in his pictures, he's taking pictures with an iPhone. So I'm like, that's weird. So I DM him and I'm like, hey, is this you that texted me? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. And I could tell he peeped my vibe. So he was like, yeah, I have to use this phone while I'm on the jet. Mind you, it's a whole different day. So I'm like, oh, you're still on the jet? Okay, like, okay. So we're texting back and forth and I'm like, we're getting to know each other or whatever. He keeps pressing the issue that he wants to fly me out. Like, he wants to fly me out. And I'm just like, okay, if you're gonna fly me out, can we at least FaceTime? And he's getting frustrated, like, I told you I was real, this and that. Like, every time I went to FaceTime, he kept coming up with an excuse like, oh, I'm busy today, I'm gonna FaceTime you tomorrow night, this and that, whatever. So, we ended up FaceTiming, but I wasn't able to see his face. Like, it was dark, but it was a man's voice. It looked like it matched his voice. Like, you guys, this was just crazy. So I'm like, okay, I kind of trust this guy. Like, he just FaceTimed me from a Gmail, like iCloud email, whatever the case may be. And when I tried to text that email, it didn't work. So I'm like, okay. And mind you guys, this guy, I'm gonna tell you guys his Twitter name, because that was a fake name, but I'm not gonna tell you guys about the real person. So this guy's name was, I believe it was Chandler on Instagram. So yeah, Chandler, he went by Channy. So that was his name, Chandler on Twitter. So if I say Instagram, I meant Twitter. I started to feel a little weird, like, I don't know, he kept telling me like, hey, I want to take care of you when you come out here. He wanted me to fly, first he wanted me to fly to North Carolina, where he was from, and when he go back home, which was in 2 weeks, I'm like, okay. And then he wanted me to fly to Hawaii, because I'm like, I don't really want to go to North Carolina where you live, that's kind of weird, can we just like take a trip somewhere else? So he's like, yeah, we go to Hawaii. So he kept pressing the issue that he wants to go to Hawaii, and I'm just like, oh, I can't wait. But can we FaceTime again? Like, I want to see your face. Like, something just didn't feel right? So now I'm starting to get really into it. Like, I'm looking on his Twitter, like, dude, this guy got an Instagram. Like, he is so cute, he has to have an Instagram. So I'm like, do you have an Instagram? I ended up asking him, do you have an Instagram? He's like, no, I don't have Instagram, just Twitter. So I'm like, okay, like, but everything he's saying is matching up with his pictures. Like, he's in the Air Force. This guy has pictures in the little army suit. His pictures like with the army boots in the background. He's just taking a regular picture. He's nice and fitted. I'm providing pictures on the side. So I'm like, this guy has to be real. And like, he says his name is Chandler, and the dude has a chain that has a C on it. So I'm like, oh, this is making sense. Like, okay. Just being dumb. So I'm like, all right, like, he really wants to go to Hawaii. Like, I'm excited. This trip is planned for a week, and it's like 2 weeks from now. So I'm like, I really don't want to go by myself. Like, anything could happen. So let me ask a friend to go. So I ended up asking my friend Isis if she wanted to come with me to, Hawaii to see this guy. She's like, yeah, it's good. Does he have a friend? So I hit him, mind you, we're still testing on this freaking Android, and it's so irritating. So I'm like, hey, do you have a friend? Like, my friend wants to come to Hawaii. He's like, oh yeah, of course, here's a picture of my friend. I'm like, oh, does he have Instagram? No reply for hours, So I'm like, okay, that's weird. So his friend's also in the Air Force or whatever. I just thought he was kind of cute. So I'm like, okay, cool, this is a 2-for-2 thing. I feel safe, this guy has a friend, I have a friend, we're going to Hawaii, boom. He wants to take me shopping. He wants to take my friend shopping. He was gonna pay for our flights, everything. So my friend Isis lives in Atlanta. So, and I lived in California at the time. So he was gonna fly me from California to Atlanta and then fly both me and my friend to Hawaii. Like, he was gonna pay for all that, and he was gonna pay for the room and all that stuff. And I remember him being like, hey, do you want to share a room, or do you and your friend want to share a room? Like, me and my friend want to share a room. Like, we want to share a room. Like, just spoilers. Like, us share a room, you and your friend have a room. That's that. So he's like, oh, okay, I'll get y'all the nicest suite on the beach or whatever, on the island. I want to take you guys shopping. I'll pay for everything. And I'm just like, oh, this guy is so sweet. Like, he's just saying everything I want to hear. Like, I'm so beautiful. He wants to take care of me and all this other stuff. Like, we were actually like building something here, you guys. Like, it was crazy, like crazy. So then I'm like, okay, time is getting closer to Hawaii. Like, so that's the beginning. Like, I met this guy on Twitter. He sent me a video of him saying he's on a jet. Like, that was good enough. Like, he's saying he's not fake, and I'm just saying he's fake or whatever, like a fake person. And like, he had a C chain, Chandler, Channy, whatever. He's an Air Force, the Army suit, like, everything is cool. Like, his Twitter was made a year ago. Like, so this isn't no fake dude that just made his Twitter and just DM me. Like, it was made a year ago. He has tweets, people are tweeting him, like, girls are tweeting him, guys are tweeting him, like, they're responding, they're having conversations. So I'm like, okay, so cool. But me being the smart girl I am, something just didn't sit right with me. So boom, it clicked in my head. I'm like, wait, my big brother is in the Air Force. Like I have an older brother on my dad's side, and he's in the Air Force, and he's stationed in Italy. So I'm like, wait a second. Just because you're in the Air Force doesn't mean you know everybody, but I know my brother could get some type of scoop on this guy. Like, technology is crazy, right? So I ended up texting my dad. I'm like, hey dad, can you get a hold of my brother Xavier? I really want to ask him something. And my dad's like, what? And I know my dad's gonna be pissed, but I ended up telling him anyway. I'm like, it's this guy that I met on Twitter. His name is Chandler, born December 20th, whatever. He was born December 20th, 1995, literally, December 20th, 1995. And he's 6'6", because it was in his bio, he's 6'6". This is what he looks like. Can you send it to my brother and see if he's really in the Air Force? So, and also, I forgot to mention that Chandler is also a model, like he models. So he also had like modeling pictures on Twitter and, you know, his army pictures. So I'm like, yeah, boom. But I didn't mention that he was a model to my dad. So this is where it gets creepy crazy, you guys. So I'm like, send this to my brother. I need to get information ASAP because the trip is next week. Like, this guy wants to take me and my friend Hawaii. I trust him, but something just isn't sitting right with me, and it has to sit right with me before I go. Like, I need to FaceTime him. I need to see if this guy is really in the Air Force. Like, my brother has to establish this for me before I go anywhere with any stranger. Now if I'm talking about it, I wouldn't say a stalker. I would say I was catfished. Like, I was definitely catfished. I had a catfish and a stalker. My dad ended up sending the information to my brother. My brother's like, hey sis. He ended up reaching out to me on Instagram. You know, once you're stationed somewhere else, like, you don't really have a phone. I don't know, it's just weird. This is why I believe the guy, because I'm like, my brother goes through the same situation with the Android when he's out of the States. When he's in the States, he has an iPhone. That's what the guy was telling me. Forgot to mention that, y'all. I'm leaving parts out. He told me when he's in the States, he has his iPhone, but when he's out the States, he doesn't. Out the States meaning he's in a different country. So at the time he was in a different country and he had to use his Android. So like, all this is just sounding right because I have a brother that's in the Air Force. And whenever my brother, you know, is in the States, I believe he uses iPhone. And when he's not, he uses the Android. You know, like he texts me on his Android. So my brother is DMing me. He's like, hey sis, I got the information about this guy. I'm about to look him up right now and I'm gonna get back to you ASAP. So I'm like, oh, this is perfect. And then, mind you, during this day, while I'm getting this information on him, I kept asking him, let's FaceTime, let's FaceTime, let's FaceTime all day. Kept coming up with excuses, like, I can't do it right now, this and that. I'm like, okay, let's FaceTime, let's FaceTime. So my dad is like, hey, your brother, my dad ends up calling me back. He's like, hey, your brother wants to know what's his last name. And I'm like, no, what's his middle name? Because on Twitter it was Channy Brown. And I'm like, I just know his name is Chandler Brown. Like, I don't know, like, what do you want me to do? So he's like, no, we need his middle name. And I'm like, okay, let me try to ask him. And I'm like, you know, try to start a little conversation with him, trying to finesse him. I'm like, hee hee, ha, lol, whatever. What's your middle name? And he's like, oh, I don't feel right telling you that unless I make you my girlfriend and this and that. He kept pressing this girlfriend thing on me, and I'm like, dude, it's not that serious. Like, I could just tell anybody my middle name. Like, he's like, no, my middle name is funny. I don't like it. I don't want to tell you unless you're my girlfriend. Just stupid excuses, like, dumb. And he started getting mad at me, like, what do you need my middle name for? This and that and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, this guy's tripping. So I get back to my dad. I'm like, hey, I don't know his middle name. Like, he's not giving it to me. So my dad's like, red flag, right? So my brother, he stopped communicating with me through Instagram. So now he's communicating with my dad, and my dad is telling me. So my dad calls me back with some information. So he says, hey, your brother said there's no Chandler Brown in the system when it comes to the Air Force, whatever. But there is a, I'm not gonna say the guy's real name. I'm gonna just say a different name. What starts with a C? I'm gonna just say Cortez. I don't want to say his real name. So he said there is a Cortez Brown in the system, but not a Chandler Brown. I'm like, okay, that's weird. Okay, so what about him? He's like, Cortez Brown is born December 20th, 1995. He is 6'6", and he's also a model. Like, he models on the side. But this guy changed his name a lot. My brother was telling my dad that the guy changed his name a lot whenever he travels for safety reasons, because he's a big model, whatever the case may be, I don't know. And I'm like, oh wow, like, but he's in the system. Like, you have a Cortez Brown that's 6'6", born December 20th, 1995, that also models, and he changed his name. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So the night goes by, and then my brother's wife reaches out to me. She's like, hey Kianna, can you send me a picture of the guy? So I sent her a picture, and just weird how to all pictures I chose this particular picture, which was going to help me, you know, figure out that this was a catfish. So I sent her a picture. She was like, this isn't sitting right with me either. Like, you know, you're really big on YouTube. I don't want anything to happen to you. Like, you have a lot of... She's like, this isn't really sitting right with me. Like, you have a lot going on. You're a public figure. Like, you're on YouTube and all this other stuff. I really don't want anything to happen to you. Like, you know, you're my sister-in-law. So I'm really gonna look into this guy. So I'm like, oh, cool. So I'm telling you guys, my sister-in-law found out who the real guy was in less than like 10 minutes. Just because the shirt he had on. I guess the shirt he had on that he was modeling was a clothing brand on Instagram. So she sends it to me and she's like, this is the real guy. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, I'm looking at his Instagram, like, Cortez Brown, like, oh my God, this is the real guy. So she reaches out to him, she screenshots the DM, she's like, hey, you know, do you know my sister? Her name is Kianna Johnson. It's Poppy on Twitter and Instagram. You guys are getting to know each other. You're supposed to be flying her out to Hawaii, all this other stuff. And he replies, no ma'am, I do not know her. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, this is the real guy. He does not know me. Like, this is a catfish. Like, what is going on here? But it's just so weird because everything is adding up. Like, the whole Air Force thing, like, he has to be real, right? He sent me a video. You guys. Let's not forget about the video. So I'm like, this is so weird. I'm like, sis, he sent me a video saying he was in the Air Force. Like, so I sent her a screen recording of the video. She's like, this is so weird because that is the dude. Like, that is his face. I'm like, yes. So what is going on here? So I ended up DMing the guy and I'm telling him about my whole situation. He's like, I don't even have Twitter. I don't know what's going on. I don't know you. But he was super respectful. He's like, I don't know you. I'm so sorry you had to go through this. Someone using my pictures, this and that. And I'm like, well, what about this video? Send him the video. He's like, LOL, that is so funny. I just posted that on my story that day. Because people were saying that I'm fake or whatever, whatever the case may be. And I'm like, this is making sense. Like, bro, what? Like, this dude catfished me, like, what? So he's like, yeah, I posted that video on my story the other day. Like, that is so weird. And I'm like, so you have no clue who I am? He's like, no. So I ended up, reaching out to the real guy, and I'm like, sending him the screenshots of the real Instagram and stuff like that. And I'm like, explain to me right now. He's like, I'm so sorry. And that's all he said, just, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't really want for it to go like this. And then he left it at that. So I'm sending him paragraphs like, you got me fucked up. I really wasted my time, my energy with you. I invested my time with you. You gave my whole stuff, had me and my friend thinking we were going to take trips. You're ordering outfits and heck and stuff. Like, I am pissed. And he's like ignoring my text messages, my DMs on Twitter, everything. Like, right now we're in the Twitter DMs. And I'm like, this guy's ignoring me. So 4 hours later, he hits me back and he's like, no, I really thought you were beautiful. I've been watching you for a whole year now, and I really want to get to know you. Like, I'm so sorry. I really didn't want it to be like this and all this other stuff. And I'm like, this dude is freaking psycho. Like, he plotted on me for a whole year. Like, what? Like, that is so crazy to me and so creepy. It has me thinking, like, what if I really did go to Hawaii to meet this guy? Like, what would have happened? Like, anything could have happened. Like, and what about the FaceTime call? Like, it was a guy, of course, but that guy could have sold me to sex trafficking. He could have kidnapped me. He could have killed me, raped me, whatever the case may be. He could have did it all if I wasn't smart. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I was just like, oh, a trip to Hawaii, he's taking me shopping, I'm out. Like, no, forget all that. Fuck all that, nigga. I don't give a fuck about no clothes. Like, or no trip. I can take myself on a trip. I can order my own clothes. Like, it's not that serious. I need to know who you really are. Seem like a nice guy, but still. So I'm telling him, like, no, like, you got me fucked up, like, this is terrible. I'm talking to the real guy right now. He has no idea who I am. Like, your page is fraud. Like, this is all fraud. And he's like, just kept apologizing, like, I'm so sorry, but can I still get to know you? Like, I still want to build with you. I'm like, dude, you're freaking nuts. Like, no, bye. And I blocked him. But I went on my other Twitter page and I was lurking on his page to see what he was saying. He didn't say anything about it. He kept tweeting like he was his normal self. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this guy is freaking crazy. So that was that. Like, and me and the real guy, we still follow each other on Instagram. We ended up following each other on Instagram that day. Like, and he's super cool, real person. I watch his stories, like, he's a real person. Like, ain't no weird stuff going on. But that was that. Like, you guys, I was catfished. Like, moral of the story to all my young girls out there, be careful. It is some freaking weird, crazy people on the internet that want to lure us and like kill us, and like it's this big sex trafficking going on. You guys, be super careful, especially when it comes to meeting guys on the internet and meeting up with them in person. Like, y'all need to FaceTime first. You need to get to know them. If you meet up with somebody in person, make sure it's somewhere like in the open where there's a lot of people, just in case anything happens to you, you know more than one person seen it. Do not meet up with somebody in an excluded area, isolated in their car, go to their house or anything like that. Like, especially when you're dealing with people out of state, you know what I'm saying? Like, be super careful. Like, that is my message to you guys. Like, be super careful. But that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this crazy story time. Like, my mind is still blown. You guys follow me on Instagram, it's Poppy4_. Add me on Snapchat, it's Poppy1, that's the number 1. And follow your girl on Twitter, it's Poppy K, spelled K-A-Y. And I'll see y'all soon. Peace.
You begging to seduce, but beggars cannot be choosy. Been a queen for 8 summers. Just tell them to call me Susie. This that Nikki, this that Oopsie, this Hennessy got me.